video. And let's see what Siddik has to tell us. Siddik the Bozo. Don't forget to do the hashtag. Hashtag Siddik Bozo. Hashtag RIP Siddik Bozo. Or RIP, you can do hashtag University of Ghana. Let them come and see their graduate who claims he's a lecturer at the same time. Oh my God, Siddik. Okay, so let's start with cross-examination number 1. This is in Sahih Muslim, right? I hope everybody can see the screen. Is it visible enough? Because I'm sharing it. Does it show? Yeah, so that is the hadith in Sahih Muslim. And the hadith here, which is narrated by Aisha, right? Even though it has been shortened. So, but in the hadith,
can you read it in Arabic?
I'm going to read because I'm asking you a question. So I have to choose where I'm going to ask you. Okay. So in that, now he forgot that we are coming to do a debate and we have a topic of discussion on board. We didn't come to do reading competition, reading of Arabic by force competition. I think he misunderstands why we are there. And that is why initially I put the hadith, both the Arabic and English, on the screen, right? Because I know he will be reading the Arabic, right? So I put it on the screen. But you see his motive. It will be clear. You will notice that Arabic section, in that Arabic section, it says, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. So I was targeting the part I want to use to ask him the question. I don't know what he is interested in. For me, as if for me to come and prove to the people that I can read all the hadiths. Why will I waste my time reading a garbage book? Why? I would rather use that effort to read the Quran. As you saw in the debate, I've been reading Quranic verses and to give the evidence of what I want to say. But why will I waste my effort to read? And remember, I'm the questioner. I have to ask him a question. So he is not supposed to tell me what to do. Salam liman imrana. But let's see. Here, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. So that is the point I wanted to use to question. Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. And let me put that hadith on the screen, then you see it clearly here. So I go here. This is the hadith. I hope you can see the hadith I put on the screen, right? So what I wanted to do is to take a portion of the part I want to ask question. I don't care whether he's interested in me to read. What am I reading for? Is that what I need? No, I need a portion. So I went to this side. Kana fima unzila minal Quran. So this Nana Aisha is claiming that this particular statement she's going to say was revealed in the Quran. So I'm going to use that to ask him a question. So pay attention how Siddik deviated the question. Just pay attention. This particular hadith I'm putting, they said it has been revealed.
Can they start the hadith so that it will be clear for everyone? This is a day of clarity, day for clarity.
Siddik,
so can they...
wait, Siddik, wait. Let me put you right here. I'm the questioner, right? And I'm going to question you.
No, your question
have
is
to,
from
wait.
Right?
You have to bring clarity to the audience, not me. You have to bring clarity.
Your question is
That is the idea of a questioner. I'm questioning him so that he can explain and bring clarity. That was the point of the question. But I don't know what he wanted me to prove here. Like to tell the people, oh, Shuaib knows how to read the garbage book. Remember, it wasn't the Quran. It is a garbage book. He wants me to show my eloquence. Oh, he can read.
To be clear first.
No problem. I'm asking you the question. I can choose wherever I want to ask you the question. If I'm lying, you can tell the people I lied. Simple.
No, I don't
because
need to
of time. No, wait.
Clear.
Do you see how he keep interrupting me? He was supposed to mute the mic. I will do whatever I want to do and then ask the question. Then he has to come in and then read his Arabic or whatever he wants to read and read it and then tell the people what it says. Because the game I wanted to play with him is to make him come to answer. He will read, and when he lies, I say, hey, stop there. That's not the case. But this is what he was trying to do. You don't tell me how to ask you the question.
I'm not telling you how to ask me a question.
Yeah, so
I'm saying
stop interrupting.
read the thing clear. Read the thing clearly.
And I said, do you know what the way I'm going to question you? No.
Okay, go on.
That is the point. So the hadith has been narrated by Aisha, right? So normally when you check the Arabic version, they have, there's a, for instance, Addathana Yahya. But when they put the translation, they don't put the Yahya there. So they just shorten it by going to Aisha. So when you check on the screen, you see Aisha, and Aisha comes on this side. And Aisha comes on this side. That's the last person. Anha, you see? Annaha qalat. Now it says, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. So this particular hadith of breastfeeding, which says among the 10 things that were revealed of the Quran was that of 10 definite breastfeedings making a person a mahram. Then that was abrogated and replaced with 5 definite breastfeedings. And the messenger of Allah passed away when this was among the things that were recited of the Quran. According to the hadith, there's a verse about this breastfeeding, which is part of the Quran. Yeah. So this was my question to him, right? Now check carefully what is going to happen. So Siddik, I want to ask you, if you believe the Quran is complete today, that means we should find this in the Quran. Unless if you want to be a kafir right now in front of your audience and tell us, how did this verse concerning breastfeeding 10 people got vanished from the Quran? Because if right now you tell us that this hadith, which clearly states here that the breastfeeding of 10 adult men was first of all revealed in the Quran, now we don't find it. So how does this hadith, particular hadith I'm quoting, explain a verse in the Quran and show us the verse? Kindly show us the verse with explanation and show me where the verse is and why we don't find the verse. And do you believe the Quran is complete? That is the question. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you see the clarity of my question? It's a simple and clear question. In the beginning, he kept interrupting. So after he stopped interrupting, I had the time to clarify the question clearly. Now check what Siddik is going to do. Now he forgot that based on my question, by mentioning the word adult, I've already accumulated other hadiths that I know about in the same Sahih Muslim book. So I know it is still referring to adults. But he's going to lie here. Now check what he's going to do.
Okay, so you see, no, put back the text. Kindly put back the text.
Initially, in the debate front, I'm not supposed to provide him that evidence, the book. He has to now bring his own copy because maybe my own could be a forgery. So he was supposed to take his own copy and then provide it to people and say, no, it doesn't say that there, or it doesn't say this there. But he wants me to still provide him my evidence for him to make a case. But watch how he's going to do. I'm not supposed to help you again.
No, I'm saying put back the. Why did you remove the text?
No, is it for you? It's yours. Is it yours? I'm asking you a question.
You see, the reason why I say you should put back the text is because you are using the text based on the text. That's why you are what you're using to ask your question. And I'm saying put back that text you are using to ask the question. As simple as that. Or it is not from the text, or you are just saying something on your own. Because when you were reading the Arabic, you got to a point and then you skipped it and then you went reading English. So I said put back the text.
Wait. Did you understand my question in the first place? Did you understand the question? So that was my motive. My motive is, Siddik, did you understand my question? It's not about the text or whatever the text is. My question. Siddik, did you understand my question? So look at the deviance here.
I didn't understand. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't understand your question.
Simple. Then just tell the questioner, can you repeat your question? Simple. This guy is supposed to be a graduate. This guy understands English. This guy is actually lecturing people at the university.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
This is what he said. He has studied English. He's a graduate and he knows English. And still, this guy is teaching at the University of Ghana. So kindly hashtag University of Ghana. Let them see they are graduate. You understand? You didn't understand my question. The simplest thing you should have done is, Baba Shuaib, can you repeat the question? But he wasn't interested in my question. Let me show you what he was interested in. And simply tell me to repeat. Simple. That's logical. Ask me to repeat. If you don't understand.
What is repeat and put back the question? What is the difference?
Now look at the English he just spoke. What is repeat and put back the question? The verse I put of the hadith I put on the screen is not the question. The question is coming from me, my mouth. It is not the thing on the screen which is the question. This guy says he understands English, right? Okay, no problem. Let me put it for you. Siddik, you want me to put it? I put it for you. I thought you have your hadith books with you. You couldn't access it.
No, you see, today I made something to give a signal. You see, I didn't sit by the library. It's just a signal for those who understand.
Okay, no problem. He says it's a signal for those who understand. So he stayed away from his library. But later on, his brother, who is another studying law next to him, his backup support. His backup support keep taking the hadith book and giving it to him whenever he needs it to read. He just asks for it. So this guy says it's not in his library at the same time. But let's check what Siddik has to say, right? Now, so I've shared it. Is there in the option? Put it on the screen.
So which hadith book is that?
Sahih Muslim.
Sahih Muslim. Okay, so if I can see clearly from here, we say, حدثنا يحيى بن يحيى قال قرأت على مالك أن عبد الله بن أبي بكر عن عمرة عن عائشة أنها قالت كان فيما أنزل من القرآن 10 رضعات معلومات يحرمن. Now, where in this verse says that breastfeeding of old men?
You see how he twists my words. And then in the first place, who is the questioner? Who was supposed to be the one to be asking questions? Was it Siddik or was it me? It was my turn to ask you questions. Now he turned the tables around. He wants to question me. And by questioning me, he lied and he says old men. Ladies and gentlemen, the word old men. Old men. Siddik said, I said old men. Now listen to the argument. He is going to swear in vain. Now check.
Of older people. Where in this hadith says that breastfeeding of old people? Where is that?
You see? Old people. You see the words he's using? Twisting. This is what mushriks are good at.
In the Arabic text.
Finish reading the hadith and tell us what it says.
It said ثم نسخ بخمس معلومات فتوفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وماذا.
So now his brother is going to go access the library and give him the book where he has to read. Now check.
فتوفي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهي فيما يقرأ من القرآن. Now you said, so guys, I just want this to be clear to everyone. He said that the hadith says that feeding of grown-up men has been abrogated. I'm asking him, where in the text is it said that feeding of grown-up men? Where is it?
Is that my question? Ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. Was that my question? Hey, Siddik Bozu. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. Hey! Was that my question? La ilaha illallah. Do you see how the mushrik are manipulative? They do this for their audience. And he's not even paying attention to my question at all. That's why I asked him for the second time, did you understand my question? He said no. I said, then Siddik, tell me to explain my question to you. So now he has to twist the words. He turned the tables around. He wants to question me by twisting my own words. Now listen. So I tried to correct him. Where in the text that is?
Where in the text? Where in the Arabic text?
No, wait. That's why I put the text on the screen. This is your books. Listen carefully. Wait, don't interrupt. This is your books translated by your own scholars. And I put it on the screen for everybody to see. Wait, don't interrupt. Let me explain. Then, if you have understood my question, listen carefully. You put it there, so it's clearly obvious to the audience that your people are translating books to deviate people. That is the number one. His people, when I said his scholars, he was rejecting Dr. Muhsin Khan, Mohammed Muhsin Khan. And I'm going to explain that. I'll come back to this video. I'm going to show you who is Dr. Muhsin Khan. Then you get to understand this point. Now, in the first place, who is Dr. Muhsin Khan? Siddik will reject that scholar. He will reject him. He say, no, we don't know him as a scholar, right? And then this is where he transgressed the rules of the debates by calling me a liar. Straight, he will say, you are a liar, by twisting my own question. So now I'm going to put it on the screen. Then you see who is Dr. Muhsin Khan, right? Here. Dr. Muhsin Khan, you see, Mohammed Muhsin Khan, born in the year 1927, died in the year 2021, was an Islamic scholar. And when we say scholar, many a times people don't understand the word scholar. In Arabic, the word scholar is alim. If it's in a plural form, we say ulama. So alim here, alim, is a learned person, someone who by long study has gained mastery in one or more disciplines. That is what we call alim. That is a scholar. So you can be an alim when it comes to translation. You can be an alim when it comes to recitation. You can be an alim when it comes to any aspect of discipline that you know a lot about for a long time. You have experience. You can be a scholar in that field. That's what is meant by a scholar. So we go back. Was an Islamic scholar and translator of Afghan origin who lived in Medina and served as the chief of department of chest diseases at the King Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center, which is based in Medina, right? That's Saudi Arabia. He translated both the Quran and Sahih al-Bukhari into English. So somebody who is not a scholar, can he do that? Can he translate Quran to English and translate Sahih Bukhari full volumes in English? Can he do that if he's not a scholar? If you haven't studied, can you do that? Okay. He was the director of the Clinic of Islamic University of Medina. Listen to the word. He was the director of the Clinic of Islamic University of Medina. He was the first translator of Sahih al-Bukhari into English language. The first in the world. He was the first translator of Sahih al-Bukhari into English language. Now, when we say translator, we can say turjuman, or we can say mutarjim. That is a translator. Now, a person who translates written messages from one language to another. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can somebody translate one language to another if that person is not an alim? He is not a scholar. He's not knowledgeable. Can he do that? The answer is no. You need to be knowledgeable by experience in order to translate something to something. And this guy was an official translator. It's not like you go to pick up a street guy to translate a book. No. Saudi Arabia approved his books. And I'm going to show you the example. I'm going to open one of the hadith books I have to show you something, right? So let's say I take Sahih Bukhari. I take this and I share it on the screen. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to share that on the screen. So I stop this and I present this one. Now, if you take the Sahih al-Bukhari translations he did, all the volumes of the Sahih al-Bukhari books, it says here published by, do you see here? Published by Darus Salam. That is Darus Salam. And where are they based? In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Printed in July 1997. Printing supervised by Abdul Malik Mujahid. Now, when you come to this side, Infad National Library, cataloging in publication data, Al-Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail, Sahih al-Bukhari, translated by Muhammad Muhsin Khan. In where? Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, right? Now, look at this work here. Saudi Arabia approves this as a worldwide book by Muhammad Muhsin Khan. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this guy is not an approved scholar for the whole world, can he do that job? Will Saudi Arabia endorse his work? The answer is no. So now, some street guy in Ghana who is from, he says Teshi, or is it, he says Nima Teshi. He has been in Nima, of course. Teshi, he is saying he doesn't acknowledge Dr. Muhsin Khan as a scholar. And you are going to see what is going to happen. So listen to Siddik.
Something like that in the Arabic. You are right.
Check.
There's nothing like that in the
Tell
Arabic.
us what it means. Did you tell us what it means?
So the hadith is saying that Nana Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, "Kana fima unzila min al-Qur'an." Check, let me read it from you. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Nana Aisha is saying that "Kana fima unzila min al-Qur'an 10 rada'atin ma'lumatin yuhramna." Said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi during his time, Nana Aisha is saying that there were verses that was revealed in the Quran, 10 of them about.
This is my question. The hadith, Nana Aisha is saying in the hadith that there were verses which were revealed in the Quran. But that verses, those verses, we don't find it in the Quran. It doesn't exist. We don't see it anywhere in the Quran. It doesn't exist. So that was where my question was based. But look how Siddik is going to twist the words.
That it is about breastfeeding that are ma'lumatin yuhramna. Breastfeeding that are known for people that, how do you call it? Yuhramna are from the people that cannot.
This guy says he is a graduate. This is what he said.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
But you see how he's struggling to make a sentence. Okay, watch.
How do you call it? Marry you or something like that. People that cannot marry you, which we call mahram. Mahram, people that cannot marry you.
So who is a mahram? Who is a mahram? Siddik was trying to lie. So who is a mahram? Ladies and gentlemen, you can search it for yourself, but I'm going to put it on the screen as to who is a mahram, right? Okay. Now, when we say a mahram, let me share the screen so that you see who is classified as a mahram, right? Now, when we say mahram, mahram is an Arabic word. However, it has been Romanized into English to mean mahram, right? So when we say mahram, mahram is the Arabic word used to describe the male relative of a woman for whom it is prohibited for her to marry. When a woman gets married, her husband also becomes a mahram. And what does mahram mean? A person forbidden for, marriage, right? But in the context of mahram, the hadith people have explained it in such a way that that person is to protect you, right? That you cannot marry is a family member or something, but somebody you cannot marry. But if you are already married to a husband, that husband can become a mahram according to the hadith people, the rules they have set for themselves. Okay. So now this is what Siddik is going to say, contrary to what is happening. Listen to Siddik.
That they say that feeding of old men, old people. Where is it?
So he kept using, where does it say feeding of old people? Ladies and gentlemen, you heard my question. Did I say old people? Did I use the word old people? No. And he keeps saying, where does it say old people? It is my turn to ask you questions, Siddik. You could have deflated what I have said and then go straight to my question and answer my question. But this is how he stalled the argument. So now look what is going to happen. Did I mention old, ladies and gentlemen?
Wallahi, that's what you said.
You see? He says, Wallahi. That's what I said. And can you trust these guys? Can you trust a person like Siddik like this? Is this guy honest? Quran chapter 2, verse 255. I put the verse on the screen and I'll show you something. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. It's 225. So let me put the verse on the screen and I'll show you something here. Surah Al-Baqarah. Yes. Let me share the screen here. So check this verse. So God says, God does not blame you. La you are hizukumullahu. Billagwi fi aymanikum. God does not blame you for the nonsense in your oath. But what does he do? Walakin you are hizukum bima kasabat qulubukum. So what he does is, but he blames you for what your hearts have earned. So within his Siddik, his heart, he knows he's accusing me falsely. But then he said, Wallahi. Do you understand? Well, he called God to witness again. And then he said, I said old people. And the video is clear. The internet never forgets. I never mentioned the word old people. So this guy claimed to be a graduate and he doesn't know the difference between saying old people and adults. An adult doesn't necessarily mean old person. And the reason why I said adult was based on a context, because I knew we were doing cross-examination. In case he says, I said adult, I can bring him another hadith to show him why I said that. But you are going to see the deviance act Siddik is going to do. Now, mind you, I'm playing his video, but Siddik himself gave a criteria on how to understand hadith, which I already know, because I was using that same criteria to question his hadith, but he doesn't know that I know. And I'll play that video to show you how Siddik is manipulative. So let's check how he lied against me. And he swore to God that I said old people. So listen.
Hey! Feeding of grown-up men. Feeding of
yes,
grown-up
I said grown. So grown-up men means adults. If I say adult, it means grown-up men. But did I say old people? Did I say old men? This guy says he's a graduate. Listen to him.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
No, Siddik, you don't know English. I'm sorry to say. You are a graduate of the University of Ghana. God, that is embarrassing. You are embarrassing Ghana. I'm from Ghana, but you are embarrassing us. I'm serious. You are embarrassing us. Seriously. It's a shame. That's why I call you a bozo. Men.
So feed
wait.
So you think
you wait.
Lie.
Now he said I lie because I said grown-up men. He didn't know that I was dealing with the context of different hadiths in the same Sahih Muslim book, which talk about grown-up men. Do you see the deviance? So I'm going to prove to you something interesting here. He said I lie by saying grown-up men. He didn't know I was using a context in between the hadith books, the verses of the hadith, because hadiths also go by verses. They go by numbers. We were reading 3,597. If you finish 3,500, you go to verse 3,598. Then you go 99. Then you go 3,600. Then you go like that. Those are called verses. And Siddik doesn't even know the meaning of a verse. And I'm going to show you why I use the word adult. Of course, it doesn't say directly adult in that verse. But remember, the word mahram is used there. Yuhuramna. Mahram is used there. And the mahram is used for a male adult who is actually protecting the woman, like I showed you the mahram listing. Okay, so now look how Siddik is going to twist all my question and throw shades at me by actually insulting me and mocking me. But I comport myself. So watch. Wait, the audience are listening. Did I say old men?
Old men, grown-up men. So okay, you meant.
So now this graduate is now trying to twist the West now to fix what he said after loudly, you are a liar, you are a liar. Now look.
Grown-up men. You
don't know the difference between grown and old? You see the point? A university graduate who said he's a graduate, he has studied English and he knows English, doesn't know the difference between grown up, when we say somebody is grown up, an adult, and then old men or old people. He doesn't know the difference.
Subhanallah. Okay, let's stick to your grown. Where is it mentioned in the hadith?
Okay, let's stick to your grown. Where is it mentioned in the hadith? So let's go to Scholar Siddik. So Scholar Siddik, I'm going to play your video, but we want you, Siddik, to help us. How do we understand an hadith? In order to draw a judgment on hadith, how do I go by it? We are going to ask you, Scholar Siddik, help us out.
In Bukhari and Muslim and the Kutub al-Sitta, the 6 books, we call it famous books of hadith, not authentic books of hadith, the 6 famous. Okay, you'll find the prayers being narrated in it. And what we do with the Quran, both the Quran and the hadith, is what we call Jam'ul ayati fi mawdi' al-wahid. And that's the first thing. for you to bring a hukum from something, a judgment from something, you need to bring the relative verses of the Quran together. For example, zakat. You need to bring all the verses of zakat together so that you'll be able to explain them accordingly. And then also the ahadith of zakat together. So we have something called Jam'ul ahadith fi mawdi' al-wahid, and it's the same thing to the Quran. Okay, you don't just pick a Quranic verse and then make issue out of it. Just like the Quraniyun, they do, they sect. They call some people sect and they leave themselves. Okay, just like they do, they pick on one verse and they will intentionally say that they're picking from other verses. Anyway, so that is how the hadith is dealt with. There's hadith that narrates from where to start from takbir and then end with taslim. Okay, but where you want, okay, so why didn't the hadith mention surah here? Why didn't the hadith mention subhana rabbiyal a'la? We say we do jam'ul ahadith. We gather all the hadith in one place and then it is being explained accordingly.
So we heard what Scholar Siddik told us about how to draw a conclusion in a hadith book. You have to join all the topics. You find it everywhere, join it together, then you draw a conclusion, which I did the same. But Siddik didn't know the point I was coming from by mentioning the word adult. So ladies and gentlemen, whilst we were doing the debate, I even scrolled the page and I showed you the adult side, why I use the word adult. I scrolled the page and I showed it clearly. So I'm going to repeat that again to show you here. So you see the evidence clearly that I wasn't there to deceive anybody. Now here, this is the hadith, and I'm going to scroll again. And their own book, you will see the title. I'm going to show you the title. You'll be laughing mercilessly. Sectarians, you have messed up by stepping on my toes. Now, you see on the page from 3,597, you move down, you go to 3,598. Then you move down, you go to 3,599. Now, these are called verses because it's a metric form of a text, right? That's called a verse, right? So then we go, and Siddik doesn't even know we can call this a verse. He says this is not a verse, this is hadith. Bozo is confused. Hadith is an Arabic word. It's not an English word. Now, look at chapter 7 here. Chapter 7. Look at the title of the hadith. Breastfeeding an adult. Now, for whoever can read Arabic and understand Arabic, it says Babu Rada'atil Kabir. You see? Breastfeeding of an adult or a grown-up. This is what the hadith says here in the Arabic text. That is the title of the book. That is 3,600. Then in the hadith here, now I'm taking you. Nana Aisha here. Nana Aisha is the one narrated from somebody. But check the hadith. Inside the hadith here, when you read inside the hadith, you go here, it says what? وَكَيْفَ أُرْدِئُهُ. How can I breastfeed him? وَهُوَ رَجُلٌ كَبِيرٌ. And he is a what? A grown-up man. What are they saying? They said the prophet. فَقَالَ النَّبِيُّ. They said the prophet was telling the person that أَرْدِهِ, that breastfeed him. And then the lady says, she said, قَالَتْ وَكَيْفَ أُرْدِئُهُ. How can I breastfeed him? Because he's an adult. And then she said, وَهُوَ رَجُلٌ كَبِيرٌ. Now, listen, according to the hadith, listen to the answer the prophet, the messenger is going to give. Here it says, فَتَبَسَّمَ رَسُولُ. Then he says, وَقَالَ. And he said, قَدْ عَلِمْتُ, that indeed or certainly I know, أَنَّهُ, that he is rajulun kabir. I know he is a grown-up man, but still breastfeed him. This is his hadith book. You just saw the analogy Siddik gave. In order for me to draw a conclusion as to what a particular hadith needs, I need to join the concept of all hadiths that speaks about the topic before I can pass on judgment. He doesn't know I already did that with the hadith books. So when I mention the word adult, it's not me putting it there. It is by knowledge. Even his scholars approve that. that they know breastfeeding of adults is found in Hadith books, but you don't find it in the Quran. So Siddik was basing his argument there, trying to say, I lie to the people. When you read in the English translation of Muhsin Khan, you can see here, it says the Prophet said, breastfeed him. She said, here, this is what I did to Siddik on that day. So I highlighted this part and I left it. And you can see Siddik was frustrated. Here, I highlighted only this part. The Prophet said, breastfeed him. She said, how can I breastfeed him? He is a grown man. So this is what caused me to use the word adult when I was asking him the earlier question, because I know I've read all these things from the Hadith book. But that's why I told you this is a garbage book. You don't get my point. So this is the Arabic side of what we say a grown-up man. It's called Rajulun Kabir, this part. This part. Rajulun Kabir. Okay. Now let's go back to Siddik the Bozo. Right? Let's go back.
Where is the mention in the Hadith?
Siddik, listen carefully to the question.
So you have lied. So now the Hadith, you are trying to use the question on it.
You see, he wasn't paying attention to my question, calling me a liar. We said no insult in the agreement of the rules. Look, this is what we said. We said no insult, no mocking, no insult. That's why I told you this is unprofessional. This guy has never done a debate. Had I known Siddik would be like this, I would never have debated him, because I never knew he's an amateur like this. You understand? But you saw how I comported myself. Yes. Okay, no problem. Oh, Siddik,
you have lied on the Hadith.
Siddik, listen carefully to the question.
Wait.
I put the screen on the screen, and I'm reading from your own text. Your scholars translate your own words.
What do you mean by scholars translation? Who translated it?
Listen.
I don't even know who translated it.
So Siddik, all the claims you make, you are educated and you have learned Islamic law, whatever. Or you don't know Dr. Muhsin Khan, Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Khan. You don't know him, and you are rejecting him today, throwing him under the bus, trashing his translation, which Saudi Arabia, which you venerate so much, the Salafiyas, that's where they are based. They approve his translation. You, Siddik, today in a debate, you are rejecting it. And I asked you to translate, what was the difference when you translated? What was the difference? You also mentioned about Mahram. I want to ask you, Siddik, does Mahram, do you use kids as Mahram? Now he's going to lie. He's going to lie here. We don't use kids as Mahram, right? We use an adult male to do that. He's going to lie. Answer the question for everybody to hear.
Kids can be Mahram. Kids can be Mahram.
Where he says kids can be Mahram. So now remember, in the rules, this is what we agreed. Agreement number 5. Every statement will be backed up by tangible evidences or sources of information. So now I'm asking him a question.
Kids can be Mahram.
Now, in which country?
That is family that cannot. So for example, I'm Mahram to my daughter.
If you are a Mahram to your daughter, are you not an adult, Siddik? Do you see what he said? So, for example, I'm Mahram. He said, I'm Mahram to my daughter. So, if you are a Mahram, you, Siddik, are you not an adult, or are you a baby? Do you see how they play with words? Mushriks, the sectarian, do you see how they play with words? Okay.
My daughter is Mahram to my daughter cannot marry me.
He turned the word around. Then he says, my daughter is Mahram to me. No, we don't use your daughter as a Mahram. It doesn't go like this. Siddik, no wonder I gave you the name Bozo. You are a Bozo indeed. Subhanallah. Siddik, I'm asking you a question. Do kids, listen.
So my daughter, my kids can be Mahram. It's as simple as that.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, you can look up the meaning of Mahram. I'm going to share it on the screen again, right? So that you see it clearly that Siddik was lying to everybody. Now here is Mahram. When we say Mahram, is the Arabic word used to describe the male relative of a woman for whom it is prohibited for her to marry. When a woman gets married, her husband also becomes Mahram. Do you see the point? That is a Mahram, right? So Siddik was lying to the audience by twisting words out of context. Right? So let's listen to the Bozo.
people. It is not mentioned in the hadith.
You haven't answered the question I asked you. Listen carefully.
You're
the
lying.
Question is there. Now, he's already taken 10 minutes of the time. I'm just asking him a simple question. He deflated my question. Trying to now, I don't know what he was trying to do. He wasn't interested in answer because he doesn't have the answer to my question. So check.
That you have lied. There's nothing like that.
I didn't lie. The verse is there. It's just your scholars lying. Look at the verse. It's translated, right? It has been translated, right?
So you see why I said you should put the Arabic text and read it?
I said the Arabic text.
You people, you do.
Siddik, please translate it for us to hear.
I've already translated it. I've already translated it.
Good. You talk about, was it when you translate, was it talking about kids or grown men? Now listen to the answer he's going to give me. When I said, was it talking about kids or grown men? Listen to the answer. When you translate
it mentioned yuhramna, mahram. It mentioned people that we cannot marry.
You say? When I ask him, does he say kids or adults? He said he doesn't mention, but he says yuhramna. Then he says mahram. And this mahram is used for adults. Right? Mahram is used for adults. A male adult. A male, not female, male adult. Now look.
As simple as that.
And I said, Siddik, what was the context? The verse is there. Read it. That's why I said context, because hadith, in order to draw a conclusion, you have to gather all the hadiths for the same topic. Just as Siddik himself said, I played his video. You have to join all the topics regarding that issue so that you can draw conclusions. So I drew conclusion by gathering all the hadiths that I know or already talk about breastfeeding. Those hadiths claim it is meant for adults. You breastfeed an adult in the broad daylight. So that is why I used the word adults. And Siddik thought I was lying. And he knows I was telling the truth. So look at the game he's going to play. It clearly for people to hear to answer my question.
This is hadith.
Is it difficult?
This is hadith. And you have lied that the hadith has mentioned growth.
I said a verse. He said this is hadith. Siddik doesn't know the meaning of a verse. So let's help Siddik to understand what a verse means. He doesn't know the meaning of a verse. So let's help him again. When I said a verse, he thought if you say a verse, you are mistaken. So you have to say this is hadith. This is hadith. He says this is not a verse. This is hadith. What is the meaning of a verse? A verse is what? A verse, a line of metrical text or a literature in a metric form. A line of metrical text or a literature in a metric form. That is meant by a verse. So when I was saying this is a verse, it has a number 597. That's a verse, because you can check the metric form of that on the screen. I put the hadith. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Let me put it so that you see it here. Now, this metrical form you are watching, it has a number. For instance, this is 3,600. So it starts 3,600, then it ends at approximately here. So when it ends here, you see 3,601 also continues. Just like in the Quran, you take verses. In the Bible, you take verses, just like that. So when I say verse, Siddik is telling me this is not a verse, this is a hadith. This bozo is confused. He doesn't, hadith is an Arabic word. And he doesn't know the meaning of a verse. Subhanallah. But listen to him.
Siddik, you are lying. You are lying. You don't know Arabic. You see, that's a problem. You don't know Arabic.
Now, this is where he gets his fans rejoicing. You don't know Arabic. You don't know Arabic. We already said in the rules, we shouldn't go in that instance of name tagging, name calling, insulting. It distracts the attention of the debate. Had I known this guy is an amateur, I wouldn't have gone to that platform to even have a debate. So people were thinking, Baba Shuaib, why did you do with such a bozo? I did it. Now you have the evidence, right? So now we can talk about it.
You are reading translation.
How many questions? When did you hear the question I asked you?
So your question even itself is a lie. So how do
now he says my question is a lie. The hadith is clearly on the page. Nana Aisha said, "Kana fima unzila min al-Quran." This particular thing we are talking about, breastfeeding 10 times, was replaced by 5 times, according to Nana Aisha. And this is found in the Quran. That's what she said. This verse is in the Quran, but we don't see it in the Quran. And she even said it's replaced by 5 times. And we don't find it in the Quran still. And at the end of the hadith, where it says, وَهِيَ فِيمَا يُقْرَأُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. And it is part of the reading of the Quran when it was revealed. So now, how come we don't find it? So I was trying to ask Siddik question by this issue only, and Siddik twisted my question. Now he said my question is a lie.
You expect me to answer that?
How is it a lie when the verse? Look at your scholars translating something there.
Who translated then? How is it my scholar? Who translated? How is it my scholar?
He said I translated it. The translation is on a page. Was I the one who translated it? Is Dr. Muhsin Khan, Muhammad Muhsin Khan, approved by your own slave masters, Siddik? Your own slave masters, the Salafiyya movement or whatever, what they approved it.
Tell me, who is that? Who is the translator?
No, you don't believe in Sahih Muslim anymore.
This is Sahih Muslim. The Arabic is Sahih Muslim. The English is not Sahih Muslim. The Arabic
Siddik,
is, this is
Siddik,
translation.
for the sake of
argument,
Sahih Muslim. Siddik, please. Now, according to the Hadith, the verse was revealed in the Quran, but it has been abrogated. Can you tell me which verse of the Quran does it explain?
Okay, so do we have verse of Rada'a in the Quran? Do we have verse of breastfeeding in the Quran?
He's asking me a question again. Oh my God. What kind of bozo is this? It's my turn to ask you a question. Nana Aisha says it is in the Quran. Now you are now turning the tables around to ask me, do we have the verse of breastfeeding in the Quran? I'm asking you a question. Did you hear my question when I started?
First of all, so let me answer that. In the first place, you are trying to ask about abrogation and how do you call it? Nasikh wa mansukh.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking concerning this verse. This particular thing they are saying about breastfeeding. So he says the hadith we are ready checking is not a verse. You see how confused he is? And this guy says he understands English. This is himself saying he understands English.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
You don't know English. You say you are a lecturer at the University of Ghana, a graduate of University of Ghana, and you are still a lecturer there. They have to demote you. Please kindly hashtag University of Ghana for them to see this.
Okay, which verse? This is a hadith.
No,
so
but
what are you talking about verse?
You see what he's doing? He says this is not a verse, this is hadith. This bozo doesn't even know hadith is an Arabic word. A verse means a metrical form of text you are reading. A line of a metrical text. That's all. That's a verse, what it means. He's telling me this is not a verse. What is it, Siddik? He says this is hadith. Subhanallah, this guy is oh my God, my God. You don't understand the question I'm asking. You see the point here. That's why I just told him. You don't even understand. But I didn't want to use the word, you don't know English. I could have just told him, Siddik, you are ignorant. You don't know English. But I didn't want to go there because we set forth a rule and we have to agree to that. So I showed him that I was mature than him. Siddik, I'm the one supposed to ask you a question, not you asking me a question.
Now start and arrange your question and take out the lie from
simple,
it. So now ask your question.
Simple.
Ask your question.
Now, this is the hadith. I started by saying in the hadith, it says, Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. Meaning, according to Nana Aisha, according to the hadith, this particular hadith, this statement she's going to make it was earlier on revealed in the Quran. Kana fima unzila min al-Quran. But what happened? What happened later on? This verse has been abrogated again out of the Quran. So this is the translation of the scholars. Then I said, if you believe the Quran is complete, how come we cannot find this hadith there? And if you believe the Quran is not complete, which means you are a kafir. That's what I said. So now the question goes like this. Since it says this particular breastfeeding issue was revealed in the Quran and later on abrogated, which means it's out of the Quran, which means according to this hadith, if you believe this hadith is authentic, that means you are a kafir, which means the Quran is not complete because we believe the Quran is complete right now. So now this is the explanation here. Your scholars translated by saying, Aisha said, among the 10 things that were revealed of the Quran was that 10 definite breastfeedings make a person, look at the word, a person a mahram. Then that was abrogated and replaced with 5 definite breastfeedings, and the messenger of Allah passed away when this was among the 10 things that were recited of the Quran. Do you see the point? Now here, then I ask you a question concerning this issue I'm reciting right now, that if you believe this was first of all revealed in the Quran and abrogated, can you answer that question? This is my question.
Okay, so now you leave it for
simple. Do you need a degree to understand this question?
For me to answer, inshallah.
Good, answer.
Okay, so inshallah, First of all, so leave that to me. Let me finish speaking. I gave you the chance to finish talking. First of all, he mentioned from the beginning that the hadith is talking about breastfeeding of grown-up men.
Set the time, 5 minutes. You want to escape the timer. And he's going to lie.
Okay, so first of all, let me bring back the hadith if I can find it. Where he was talking about grown-up men, the hadith never mentioned about grown-up men. He mentioned about people we cannot marry. And that's what the hadith is talking about. And that Nanaisha, she is saying that during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were verses that were abrogated, meaning removed. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
That's not what Nanaisha said. Nanaisha said it was first of course revealed in the Quran. Then it was later on abrogated. So I say if it was revealed, where is it? And then the ones who claim they are abrogating that ones, the 5 breastfeedings, where are they in the Quran? They are not even there. Look at the lie Siddik is going to.
He mentioned in the Quran that ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsiha in Surah Al-Baqarah.
So now he's going to lie.
Ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsiha na'ti bi khayr minha aw mithliha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said ma nansakh, and we do not abrogate. Ma nansakh min ayatin. We do not abrogate. You are distracting me with what you're doing on the screen.
I wasn't distracting him. I was showing the people the truth in their garbage books, that this is it. It says grown man. I wasn't lying because I know the context of the hadith, and Siddik himself said it. If you want, in order to draw judgments on the hadith, you have to gather all the topics concerning that particular issue you are talking about before you can decide on the issue. And I did the same before using the word adult or grown man.
Ma nansakh min ayatin, we do not abrogate a verse, or nunsiha, or we cause it to be forgotten. Na'ti bi khayr minha, we bring a better verses than that, aw mithliha, or
so he lied about the verse, and I'm going to put it on the screen to show you the correct meaning of that verse. This is how mushriks lie, and correctional officer is here. I will scrutinize them. I will expose them one by one. He's lucky he's not a top scholar. I will have tarnished his image. Poto, 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 poto. So I'm going to show it on the screen. Look here. He quoted the verse and he is going to lie about it. So let me show you the verse here. Quran chapter 2 verse 106. When God says, Ma nansakh min ayatin aw nunsiha nati bi khayrin minha aw mithliha alam ta'alam anna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. So whatever we transcribe. Now the word nansakh is not abrogation. Mushriks will tell you abrogation. That's a lie. In order to understand this, I'm going to take you to several places this thing is mentioned. This word is mentioned. You have to check the context to decide. It's not about abrogation. Of course, if you go to Quran chapter 22 verse 52, in that context, you have to check the context. In that context is talking about abolishing something. But when you check the context in which God is talking here, he never used a negative statement. He never said illa. Had God used illa, then yes, it will be referring to abrogation. So Quran chapter 2 verse 106, God says, whatever we transcribe of a sign or cause it to be forgotten. You know, you can only forget maybe a verse, or, you know, you can remember a verse or cause it to be forgotten, right? Okay. We bring one better than it, or the like of it. So it's either an equal verse or something better. And that's exactly what the Quran came to do to the previous books. So when you go to Quran chapter 5 verse 48, this is the purpose of the Quran coming. The purpose of the Quran is to supersede over the other previous books God sent. So God says, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Then he says, مِنَ الْكِتَابِ. Then he says, وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ. So the Quran is to be dominant over the previous books. Remember, Quran chapter 3, verse 3 to verse 4. Here, I'm going to put it on the screen. Quran chapter 3, verse 3 to verse 4. Yes. I put it on the screen here. Yeah. Quran chapter 3, verse 3 to verse 4. God says, نزل عليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه وأنزل التوراة والإنجيل. Then it continues من قبل هدى للناس وأنزل الفرقان. Then he says, إن الله, you see, إن الذين كفروا بآيات الله لهم عذاب شديد. Then he says, Wallahu azizun zun intikam. So God is saying here, he has revealed the book to you in truth, confirming what was before it. So he brings the like of the verse before in the previous sense. He will bring the kitab which confirms what is in the past. So that is the like of it, just like it. Or he brings something better. That's why the Quran somehow brings information that people are trying to twist in other books. So the Quran will now bring something better. Do you understand the point I'm making? So now God says what was before it, as he revealed the Torah and the gospel before as guidance. So the Torah and the gospel were to serve as guidance before for the people. And he revealed the criterion, that's Furqan. Indeed, those who disbelieve in the verses of God will have a severe punishment, for God is mighty with vengeance. So now going back to Quran chapter 2, verse 106. Siddik was talking about context, but he never used a context. He quoted the verse to lie, and we are going to catch him red-handed. So God says, whatever we transcribe of a sign, the word transcribe, nansakha here is not about abrogation. And if in order to understand it's not about abrogation, check here. Start from 105, and I'm going to read to 108. You see the instance. Neither those who disbelieve among the people of the book, just like I showed you, God revealed book in the past, right? Neither those who disbelieve among the people of the book nor the polytheists wish that any good should be sent down to you from your Lord. Any good. That's why the book was sent to Muhammad alayhi salam. But God specifies his mercy to whomever he wills, for God possesses great favor. Then you go, whatever we transcribe of a sign, that is of a verse. Remember, Quran chapter 7, verse 145. Right? And Quran chapter 7, verse 154, God transcribed on the tablet for Musa alayhi salam. Where God told him, "Khuz ma ataituka wa kun mina shakirin." Take what I have given you and be of those who are grateful. God wrote for him on the tablet. Then after him, the people now wrote on their in the sheets of paper, karatisa, Quran chapter 6, verse 91. Then they conceal much of it while exposing some of it on the papers. But what happened is, then God says, whatever we transcribe. So in order to understand, it's talking about transcription. Go to Quran chapter 7, verse 154. As you see, Quran chapter 45, verse 29. It's about transcription. That is the root word. It's not talking about abrogation. If it's abrogation, you will see the word illa. You will never see any negation in this verse where it says illa. There's no exception here. So whatever we transcribe of a sign or cause it to be forgotten, we bring one better than it or the like of it. Do you not know that God is capable of all things? Then we go 107. Do you not know that to God belongs the dominion of the heavens and the earth, and you have no guardian nor helper besides God? Then it continues. Or do you intend to ask your messenger, as Moses was asked before, but whoever exchanges the faith for disbelief, then he has strayed from the straight way. So do you want to ask your messenger as Moses was asked? Moses was given the tablet by God. God wrote everything for him there, right? So are you going to ask Muhammad to bring the same? That's why Quran chapter 6, verse 7 is telling us that had God revealed a book in a sheet of paper coming from the sky and people saw it with their eyes and touched it, they will say this is sorcery. Quran chapter 6, verse 7. That's why he didn't reveal the Quran in the same way he gave to Moses. So now he was telling the people, or do you intend to ask your messenger, as Moses was asked before? That is the purpose of the verse. So Siddik is going to lie, and he's lying. We caught him red-handed. So now let's go back to Siddik the Bozo.
Same or something equal to that. So indeed, there is abrogation that occurred during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu.
That's a lie. There is no abrogation in the Quran. Remember, God says in Quran chapter 2, verse 2, there is no doubt in the Quran. So if you say there's abrogation, that means something is doubtful. We cannot use it again. It has been cancelled. If it is cancelled, no need for us to use it now. That becomes doubtful, because if somebody is going to use it for any judgment today, we will say, hey, this verse has been cancelled. It's doubtful. We cannot use it. You see the mushriks, they bring the concept from their garbage books into the words of God, trying to deviate people.
Allahu alayhi wa sallam. And then Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, and this was replaced. You've taken the hadith I was reading from that Quran, that this is there, and you go and it is not there. That is when you have a case.
That's the case. I repeat his statement again.
12 verses from the Quran, that this is there, and you go and it is not there. That is when you have a case.
You see, Nana Aisha clearly said in the hadith, she said it was revealed of the Quran. We believe the Quran is complete. Nothing was taken out. Nana Aisha is still telling you from the hadith that it has been abrogated and replaced. And now, according to your own scholars, if something is abrogated, doesn't mean it is taken out of the Quran. The verse has to still be in the Quran. Even if there's an abrogation, the verse doesn't have to be wiped out. So if your hadith is saying the verse has been revealed of the Quran, and even before the Prophet died, it's being recited, then where is the verse? We don't find it. We don't see breastfeeding of adults in the Quran. We don't see it. 10 breastfeedings replaced by 5 is not there. So Siddik is lying. The bozo.
But if she is saying that about rada'a and feeding of, how do you call it, people you can marry, which was then wiped off, and we cannot marry we cannot marry those that are from our immediate blood, such as our children, our mothers, and our aunties, and so forth and so on. That is in Surah An-Nisa, which we can bring verses from that to talk about that. So,
and then again, he's lying. That's not how your Siddik, your scholars explain this. You say which we can bring verses from that and talk about that.
Indeed, in Surah An-Nisa, that's Quran chapter 4. Let me quickly give. Let me see my time.
We are going to cross-check it
off and then check my time.
So this is where he deviated the time, right? But I'm going to cross-check him and show you the example. If you go to Quran chapter 4, verse, you read verse 23, it's talk about Rada'at. But Rada'at, when you count those number of people mentioned there, it is not 10 people. And it is not talking about being replaced by 5 people. That verse is still as effective till today. It's not about 5 breastfeedings. It's not about 10 breastfeedings. So if you go and quote that in reference of your garbage book, what are you trying to do, Siddik? Your scholars never did this. So what are you trying to do? By listening to Siddik the Bozo.
He mentioned from the beginning that never mentioned about grown-up men. He mentioned about people we cannot marry. And that's what the Aisha has mentioned the actual verses from the Quran that this is there, and you go and it is not there. That is when you have a case. But if she is
started again.
Oh, sorry.
So now he was struggling to open the verse.
This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the prevention of inheritance. I want to get the verses. Nam, that is verse 22. ولا تنكحوا ما نكح آباؤكم من الناس من النساء إلا ما قد سلف إنه كان فاحشة ومقتا وساء سبيلا حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم وبناتكم وأخواتكم وعماتكم وخالاتكم وبنات الأخ وبنات الأخت وأمهاتكم اللاتي أرضعنكم. So this verse, all that I'm reciting, which I've not even ended, Allah said, it is forbidden for you. حرمت عليكم أمهاتكم. It has been forbidden for you to marry your mothers, وَبَنَاتُكُمْ, and your children, وَأَخَوَاتُكُمْ, and then your sisters, وَعَمَّاتُكُمْ, and your aunties from your, how do you call it, your paternal side, وَخَالَاتُكُمْ, and from your maternal side, وَبَنَاتُ الْأَخْ, and your brother's children, وَبَنَاتُ الْأُخْتِ, and your sister's children, وَأُمَّهَاتُكُمُ اللَّاتِي أَرْضَعْنَكُمْ, and the mothers, those that breastfed you, وَأَخَوَاتُكُمْ مِنَ الرَّضَاعِ, and your sisters, that is your foster sisters, وَأُمَّهَاتُ نِسَائِكُمْ, and your mother-in-laws. So this all that I'm narrating is talking about mahram, people you cannot marry.
But it has nothing to do with the verse in your hadith book. The verse from the Quran has nothing to do with what Nana Aisha said. Nana Aisha says 10 breastfeedings was revealed, and then it was later on abrogated by 5 breastfeedings. This one you are keep mentioning this list is not about 5 breastfeedings. Nor does he talk about 5 people. But look what is happening here. I'm going to expose Siddik and show you what he was trying to do.
This hadith of Nana Aisha radiallahu anhu can be referring to this because Nana Aisha.
This hadith of Nana Aisha can be, listening what he says, can be referring, can be But Siddik, it is not. You are trying to let it be, but Siddik, please, it is not. Siddik, the liar, bozo. Hey, Bushiriki. Let me play. I feel like crying here.
I feel like crying, eh?
I love Bushiriki.
Not specify. So when it comes to breastfeeding of mahram, breastfeeding of people that you can marry, and you, how do you call it? Those that you can marry.
English.
This verse indeed talk about how do you call it? The issue of the hadith. If that
when a person is lying, you always hear This guy says he has studied English, he knows English, and he's a graduate. Remember that.
is what you mean. But in the issue of breastfeeding grown-up people, we did not find that in the text of Imam Muslim.
It says the feeding of grown-up people. We do not find that in the text of Imam Muslim, meaning Sahih Muslim. I just put it on the screen for you. You saw in the text, feeding of a grown-up person. Let me show you again, in case you didn't see it, so that you see it clearly and see that Siddik the bozo is a bad liar, the worst liar of our time, right? Let me show you on the screen. Fast. Here is it. Siddik bozo, Siddik the criminal liar, university graduate indeed. You can only do that in Ghana. Siddik, don't start that at all. This is Sahih Muslim. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you so that you see that this is talking about Sahih Muslim book. Look at here. This is the beginning of the page. Do you see Sahih Muslim? Can you see it clearly? This is Sahih Muslim, right? Imam Abdul Hussein Muslim. Here is on the page. You see it clearly? I hope you can see it, right? That is his name. And then you go straight to page. I take you to the page here. I take you to the verse. The verse number is 3600. We jump straight to it here. When we go straight, I highlight it for you, and then I go like this. You see, the prophet said, breastfeed him. She said, how can I breastfeed him? He is a grown man. This is the Arabic version here. Let me scroll it for you. Here, when the prophet said clearly, Fakala Nabiyu, Ardihi, that is breastfeed him. Then she says, Qalat, wa kaifa, you see it? Urdiuhu here. How can I breastfeed him? Wahuwa here, wahuwa rajulun kabir, and he is a grown-up man. How can I breastfeed him? Then the prophet fatabassama Rasulullahi. Yeah, you see here, fatabassama Rasulullahi. The prophet is now saying waqala, and then he says qad alimtu annahu rajulun kabir. That certainly I know that he is a grown-up man, but he's still telling her to breastfeed him. And this bozo is sitting here telling us you do not find that in the book of Sahih Muslim. So Siddik, a liar.
Breastfeeding, in terms of breastfeeding, those that you can marry or you cannot marry, then Namaisha is saying that at a point in time, during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were verses that are actually permitting that, and they were abrogated. I think I used some minutes of my time already.
So there were actually verses, but we don't find it in the Quran, and they were later abrogated.
And therefore, I'll spare this time here. And I hope I have answered the question.
He never answered the question. Now look what is going to happen. Siddik, can you the timer, you take it away, right? And then you put
what do you want me to do? Should I put the...
Remember, we are doing the cross-examination. Cross-examination, this is the meaning of cross-examination. Here, I needed 2 minutes to address his answer. But look what Siddik is going to do. And I'll show you the meaning of cross-examination. The university graduate doesn't know the meaning of cross-examination. Watch.
Hadith back.
That particular hadith. Now, the one you said you've answered. Let's go back. Put the hadith again on the screen.
Okay, so that's your first question anyway. You have exhausted one question. If you have another question, then we move on.
Now, this is the rules of the debate. Here's the rule. The rule number 6, one can plead for extra 2 minutes added time to finish a point if needed. That is for the cross-examination. So at the cross-examination, based on the rules we have on the screen, we are at the cross-examination section, right? The cross-examination section, that was supposed to be 30 minutes, where it is a back and forth recap by questioning the sources. Cross-examination. Now, I'm going to put you on the screen the meaning of cross-examination. Check it clearly. Siddik doesn't understand what we were there to do. So this is cross-examination. Cross-examination, close questioning of a hostile witness in a court of law to discredit or throw a new light on the testimony already provided in direct examination. So in direct examination, what did Siddik do? Siddik actually tried to bring his evidence, his testimony, and already he has provided that. So now I have to cross-examine him by that extra 2 minutes, by shedding a new light. So you saw the meaning, to shed a new light, to throw a new light on the testimony already provided. So the testimony already provided, what I needed just 2 minutes to do was to show the evidence from the Sahih Muslim book to hold Siddik by his own words that he's actually the liar. So what Siddik is going to do? We said there will be cross-examination, right?
Yeah. Meaning, so and one question at a time. So and you've asked one. So
what? Okay. Now what happens now? Am I supposed to say something regarding your answer or what?
Okay, we didn't discuss about that, but if you want to say something, we can say 2 minutes will be okay for that.
Okay, so you can put the 2 minutes there. So that is the 2 minutes here. Number 6, one can plead for extra 2 minutes added time to finish a point if needed. So I was coming to finish the point by cross-examining Siddik. Now listen to what Siddik is going to do to me here. That 2 minutes, listen, you can see. And you share for me the hadith on the, oh, sorry. Right. Share me the hadith.
I'll place it here. So why don't you go ahead, inshallah? Okay, so you said you've shared it.
Yeah. So now, this is, the hadith has an extension. From the 3,597, it comes out to 3,600. You see it? So ladies and gentlemen, on the screen, you see it clearly here, put there, that it says the prophet said, breastfeed him. She said, how can I breastfeed him? He is a grown man. Now, in the context of their hadith books, if you take the hadith chain of narration, they put it into sequence.
Okay, and Baba, for the sake of honesty, is it the first hadith you present?
Now look at the point. He's telling me, is it the first hadith you presented? Now listen what he's going to do to me.
Or is the second hadith?
Now in the same lane. Isn't the same lane?
Not same lane, not same lane.
Now look at this. I'm going to play a video by Siddik. Look at the explanation of Siddik. In terms of hadith books, you don't just use one hadith reference. You have to accumulate all the hadith references that make sense to draw the conclusion. So look, I'm going to play his video. Listen what Siddik said.
In Bukhari and Muslim, in the Kutub al-Sitta, there says books, we call it famous books of hadith, not authentic books of hadith, the 6 famous. Okay, you'll find the prayers being narrated in it. And what we do with the Quran, both the Quran and the hadith, is what we call jam'ul ayati fi mawdi' al-wahid. And that's the first thing. For you to bring a hukum from something, a judgment from something, you need to bring the relative verses of the Quran together. For example, zakah. You need to bring all the verses of zakah together so that you'll be able to explain them accordingly. And then also the ahadith of zakah together. So we have something called jam'ul ahadith fi mawdi' al-wahid, and it's the same thing to the Quran. Okay, you don't just pick a Quranic verse and then make issue out of it. Just like the Quraniyun, they do, they sect. They call some people sect and they leave themselves. Okay, just like they do, they pick on one verse and they will intentionally say that they're picking from other verses. Anyway, so that is how the hadith is dealt with. There's hadith that narrates from where to start from takbir and then end with taslim. Okay, but where you want, okay, so why didn't the hadith mention surah here? Why didn't the hadith mention Subhana Rabbiyal A'la? We say we do Jam'ul Ahadith. We gather all the hadith in one place and then it is being explained accordingly. So
thank you, Scholar Siddik. So we gather all the hadiths and then draw the conclusion. So you don't need to just use one hadith to draw a conclusion. So I was about to use a second hadith to draw the conclusion and then make the thing clear for the audience. Look at what Siddik, how he deflated the question.
The hadith you were talking, hadith in Nana Aisha, where we read up to, and you were saying that is where the grown-up man.
Yeah,
I'm saying
that hadith. No, wait. The one I quoted is 3,597. Listen.
So let's stick to that. Don't move to a next hadith. Let's stick to that. If you are asking this hadith question on this hadith, then it will be a different question then.
No, I'm not asking a question. No. I'm not asking.
Okay, so use the first one, and that is what I made my comment on. So go back to that one, and if this we will discuss this one later. So because people will understand this to be the first.
He said we will discuss this one later. When? Siddik doesn't want to be cross-examined. He doesn't understand the meaning of cross-examination. And this is what he clearly told us. Listen.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
But he doesn't know the meaning of cross-examination. Subhanallah. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil.
First one.
Siddik, the first one I quoted, it mentioned a person in the translation.
So let's
so what I'm saying, wait.
Then this would be a different thing. I thought you
But the question I asked, how is it different? We are talking about rada'at, breastfeeding, an adult. You said I lied to the audience. I didn't lie. I'm trying to shed a new light. That is what cross-examination means. You made a testimony. I have to bring a new light to prove you wrong.
Comment. The question I thought you were going to make comment on the. You see, people. This would deceive people to think that. How do you call it? This is the hadith you were using before.
How can it deceive people? How? Hey.
Oh.
No, Siddik, wait. Hadith. You don't get my point. You have made an explanation going to a verse which doesn't talk about anything concerning the hadith.
Yeah, Rajul, just go back to the hadith you were using. This we will talk about this one later. We are focusing on one thing at a time.
Listen to me.
At a time.
The answer you were giving me has nothing to do with the hadith I gave you.
See, go back to that hadith then and talk about that. Don't move to a next hadith. We'll talk about everything.
No, okay, so what was the 2 minutes for?
I thought you said you were going to say something about what we are discussing about that. The hadith.
Yes, it's the same issue. It doesn't change. It's not about
not issue. The hadith, not issue. The hadith on which you asked the question. So go back one thing at a time,
Siddik,
please.
You know what?
One thing at a time.
The audience are clear now. They understood it's talking about
exactly.
They can see
exactly.
it. Is that how you are? University graduate and a lecturer at University of Ghana, they have to demote you. Seriously. You're proud saying you studied.
And I've studied English. I'm a graduate, so I know English.
You don't know English.